Well, about 5 minutes away from home, and looked down. Engine was at 270 degrees on the coolant. It was overheating drastically, starting to boil out of the overflow. Um, couldn't really find any leaks. I could tell like everything was still had plenty of coolant in it. It was just leaking out of the overfill because of the high pressure. So I was like, okay, maybe the thermostat went out and wasn't flowing. But then I noticed that I still had the car like in an accessory mode, and the radiator fan wasn't even on, which at these temperatures it definitely should come on. And I had gone through a little bit of traffic, but yeah, yet another issue with the Z06. So I'm just gonna silicone over these, pulled out the plugs. I'm probably still use this plug because the green wire just doesn't, I think it's just a signal wire, so that portion is fine. And then basically what I'm doing is, this isn't the best way. The best way would be to get like a really robust plug to replace this. But yeah, I'm gonna crimp this on and then heat shrink around this and do some electrical tape. And then if I ever do need to remove it, I still can. Battery is disconnected. I think both of these, or at least the positive, is hot, so don't want to be fooling around with that. I'm gonna have to jack the car up, get under there to the other plug, and kind of do the same thing, and then kind of do electrical tape, heat shrink, and some protection against all of this. I'm gonna try and tape over those exposed wires. The question is, why did this fail? I think a lot of people online, it's true that if this just fails, you shouldn't just replace it with the same plug, because the plug is either not rated or it's in a bad position close to the engine where it gets way too hot. My recommendation is doing something solid like this. I don't think this is, oh, you have to replace your whole radiator and your fan because it's not rated. It's like the car came like this and people have these issues. I just think the plug isn't in the best place, to where in some cases, especially in Texas, it gets too hot and it melts. So anyway, very common problem on the C6, and I'll add that to the list. But yeah. Not my cat, but okay. So got that all taped up, and then put some wrap over it, kind of zip tie it to the side, and then everything is down there, secure and thoroughly taped. Another quick tip is to get better access to some of these wires. You can actually unplug the plug that actually goes down to the little like the little electrical box down there, and then you can kind of pull up the wires that go to the fan, just so you can work with everything right here. That's what I had to do. Otherwise it's really hard to get in there and do your final connections. So the fan is fixed. Everything's running good on that front. AC is working great, and it's cooling properly. So yeah, hopefully won't have any more issues with that fan. I really think I did a good job how I hooked everything up. Basically what I did was I took 2 of these connections together and then put a bolt through them, put one of these through it, and then snugged it down very tight. These are grade 10.9 bolts. And then I pretty much, just to have some sort of waterproof seal, just very carefully electrically taped it thoroughly, and then put like a plastic shroud over it, and then taped that up as well, just so there wasn't any chance of the ground and the positive of touching each other or any of the frame. So that should fix that issue. I'm not saying all C6s, but I definitely think the Z06 and the Z01s in particular have that problem. And if you're pushing the car hard, especially when it's 105 degrees and you're also running, in traffic with the AC on, man, it gets cooking around where that plug is, and I just don't think the plastic holds up, and then once it gets hot, it loses connection, or doesn't have as good of a connection, and it gets even hotter, and then eventually melts, and then that makes everything even worse. And so it's just something you got to deal with. But anyway, thanks for watching.